Hey, look at me for 1 second. I need you to stop scrolling because what I am about to tell you has a deadline attached to it, and that deadline is 2 days from now. Today is Canada Day, July 1st, and while most Canadians are focused on fireworks and barbecues, four things just quietly happen to your money and your benefits that almost nobody is talking about. One of them puts money in your pocket automatically this Friday. One of them lowered your federal income tax starting today without a single announcement directed at seniors. One of them changes the rules around what you pay for prescription drugs at the pharmacy, also starting today. And one of them gives you free access to national parks, museums, and discounted train travel across this country right now until September 7th, and you don't need to sign up for anything, download anything, or show any kind of card. I'm David Harper, and today I'm giving you all four, in plain language, with exactly what you need to do or not do to make sure every one of them reaches you before the window closes. Before we get into it, subscribe and tap the bell right now. Today is exactly the kind of day this channel exists for. Four real changes landed in Canada today, and not one of them came with a clear explanation aimed at the people who need it most. That's what this channel does. Hit subscribe, tap the bell, and let's go through all four. Let's start with the most urgent one, because Friday is coming fast. For years, many Canadians have received a quarterly payment called the GST and HST credit, a tax-free amount sent out to offset the sales tax paid on everyday purchases. It's completely tax-free, it never counts toward your income, and it never shows up as a line on your tax return. This Friday, July 3rd, that credit is officially replaced by a larger payment called the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. And for everyone who qualifies, the new amount is 25% higher than the old quarterly credit ever was. The first payment under this new, larger benefit goes out this Friday. And the government already sent out a one-time top-up back in June on top of that. You do not need to apply for this separately. You do not need to call anyone. You do not need to fill out any form. The single thing required to receive it is a filed tax return, because every dollar of this payment is calculated automatically from the return you filed. Every year, seniors who assumed there was no point filing because they had little or no income end up missing this payment entirely. If that has ever been you, file now, because the July payment is almost here and future payments flow from what you filed. For a single senior with modest income, the annual benefit under this new structure can reach close to $950 a year in total payments. That is real money, and it belongs to you, and it arrives automatically on Friday if your return is already on file. Let me make this concrete with a quick example. Picture a woman, call her Sandra, 70 years old, living on OAS and a small company pension. Sandra has filed her taxes every year, always on time. She used to receive the old GST credit, roughly $100 and some every quarter. She didn't think much of it. This Friday, Sandra's first groceries and essentials payment arrives, and it's noticeably larger than her old quarterly credit. She didn't apply, didn't call anyone, didn't change a thing. The government just updated the program, and because her return was on file, the larger payment found her automatically. Sandra's neighbor, call him Roger, is also 70, also on OAS, but he stopped filing taxes 3 years ago because he didn't think it was worth it since he had no income to report. Roger doesn't get the payment on Friday, not because he doesn't qualify, but because the system has no filed return to calculate from. Sandra gets the money. Roger doesn't. Same neighborhood, same approximate income, opposite outcomes. The only difference is one piece of paper. The benefit is income tested, which means the less income you have beyond your pension, the larger your payment tends to be. If you receive the Guaranteed Income Supplement, you are very likely in the category that sees the full benefit of this increase. And if you don't currently receive GIS but your income is modest, you may still qualify for a meaningful amount. The payment tiers down gradually as income rises, and it phases out completely for higher earners. But for the majority of seniors watching this channel, this is a payment that should be arriving this Friday and should be noticeably larger than your old GST credit quarters were. The only question you need to ask yourself right now is whether your most recent tax return is actually filed and assessed, not just submitted, assessed. If you used a tax clinic or an accountant, call and confirm that the CRA has processed it. If you haven't filed at all, file now or contact a free community tax clinic through canada.ca. The second change landed this morning and it affects every senior in Canada who pays federal income tax. The bottom federal income tax rate, the rate that applies to the first level of your taxable income, dropped from 15% to 14% as of today, July 1st. That is a 1% reduction that the Carney government built into the budget, and it is now in effect for the full second half of 2026. What does this actually mean in plain numbers for a senior? If your taxable income sits in the lowest federal bracket, a meaningful portion of what you earn is now taxed at 14 cents on the dollar instead of 15. For many pensioners, that translates to somewhere between $100 and $200 a year in reduced federal tax, depending on your specific income. It doesn't sound enormous on its own, but combined with the age amount, the pension income amount, and pension splitting if you're a couple, the total tax reduction this year is real. And here's something worth understanding. The lower tax rate doesn't just apply to employment income or investment income. It applies to pension income too. Your OAS, your CPP, your employer pension, any portion of that income falling in the lowest bracket now gets taxed 1% less. For a retired couple both drawing pensions in the lower bracket, that can mean both of them seeing a small but real reduction. If you have pension income being withheld at source, your pension administrator will adjust the withholding rate going forward, which means slightly more arriving in each monthly payment for the rest of the year without you doing anything at all. I want to be clear here because I know a lot of people will wonder whether they need to contact CRA or submit something to capture this change. You don't. The rate change is automatic. If you receive a pension or have income subject to withholding, the revised rate will be applied going forward by whoever pays you. When you file your 2026 tax return next spring, the lower rate will already be baked into the calculation. The only situation where you might want to take action is if you currently have voluntary tax withholding set up on your OAS or GIS payments at a specific rate you requested previously. In that case, it's worth calling Service Canada to confirm whether your withholding instruction still makes sense at the new, slightly lower rate. Otherwise, this one works for you automatically. The third change is more specific, and it matters a lot if you live in Ontario and receive prescription drug coverage through the Ontario Drug Benefit Program. As of today, July 1st, the Ontario government has amended the income eligibility rules for the Seniors Co-Payment Program. What that means in plain language is that the income thresholds and guidelines used to determine whether you qualify for the low-income co-payment rate, the one that reduces your prescription cost down to just $2, have been streamlined and updated. The old income eligibility guidelines had some complexity around how different income types were calculated, and the amendment is meant to simplify and clarify those rules so more eligible seniors can qualify more straightforwardly. If you are an Ontario senior currently paying the full co-payment rate at the pharmacy and your household income is modest, today is the day to call Service Ontario or your local Service Ontario counter and ask specifically whether the July 1st changes to the co-payment program affect your eligibility. You might have gone from not qualifying to qualifying without anyone telling you. The question to ask is simple and direct. Has the income threshold for the low co-payment rate changed as of July 1st? And do I now qualify based on my income? That single call could drop what you pay at the pharmacy from a few dollars per prescription to $2 per prescription for the rest of the year and every year going forward. And if you live outside Ontario, this is still your reminder to look up what your own province's senior drug plan covers, because every province has a version of this, and very few people know all the details of the one in their own backyard. The fourth thing that's happening right now has nothing to do with money landing in an account and everything to do with money staying in your pocket this summer. The Canada Strong Pass is back, and it has been running since June 19th with no end date until September 7th. If you haven't heard of it, here is the entire thing in 30 seconds. Every national park, national historic site, and national marine conservation area in this country is completely free to enter right now. Banff, Jasper, Gros Morne, Riding Mountain, Thousand Islands, every one of them, no entry fee until September 7th. Every national museum in Ottawa and Gatineau, including the Canadian Museum of History, the Canadian War Museum, the Canada Science and Technology Museum, free admission right now. There is no pass to buy, no app to download, no card to show, no registration of any kind. You simply drive up to the gate or walk into the museum, and the admission is free. And here's the detail most people miss. This applies to every visitor of every age. There is no separate senior version and no age restriction. You are included automatically. Camping and roofed accommodation at Parks Canada sites comes with a 25% discount, not free, but a meaningful reduction on top of the free entry. And VIA Rail is offering free travel for children accompanied by an adult, though the full train discount is primarily aimed at younger travelers. The point for seniors watching this is simple. If you have been thinking about a trip to a national park this summer, the single largest entry fee you would have paid is now zero until September 7th. This window does not come back until next year. I want to give you the honest version of this, because a few things are important to know before you plan a trip around it. The free entry applies to national parks only, not provincial parks. So if your provincial park charges an entry fee, that is still there. Second, camping spots at popular national parks fill up extremely fast. If you want to camp at Banff or Jasper this summer, you need to book immediately, not next week, because prime summer weekends are already filling and the free entry doesn't change the reservation system. Third, some time-ticketed exhibits and special programs inside the museums still charge their own separate fee, even during the strong pass period. The general admission is free, but a special touring exhibition may still have a ticket price. Check the specific museum's website before you go. And fourth, the VIA Rail discount is specifically for children 17 and under traveling free with an adult, and for young adults 18 to 24 getting 25% off. If you are 25 or older, the train discount does not apply to you specifically under this program, though you still benefit from the free park entry at your destination. So here's your complete Canada Day picture for 2026. Money is landing in your account on Friday from the new groceries and essentials benefit. Your federal income tax rate quietly dropped 1% this morning. If you're in Ontario on the drug benefit program, your prescription co-payment eligibility may have changed today and is worth a phone call. And national parks and museums across this country are free to enter right now until September 7th with no action required. 4 real changes, all of them in effect today or arriving in 2 days. 2 of them require nothing from you at all. 1 requires a phone call if you're in Ontario, and 1 requires a filed tax return if you haven't already. Here is your checklist for today. First, confirm your tax return is filed and assessed, not just submitted, so the Friday groceries and essentials payment reaches you and all future quarters are correctly calculated. If you haven't filed, use a free community tax clinic through canada.ca, because filing is the single key that unlocks the payment. Second, if you receive a pension with tax withheld at source, no action needed. The lower rate adjusts automatically, but if you have voluntary withholding set up on your OAS or GIS, call Service Canada to confirm it still makes sense. Third, if you are an Ontario senior on the drug benefit program and your income is modest, call Service Ontario today or this week and ask directly whether the July 1st co-payment eligibility update means you now qualify for the $2 rate. Fourth, if you have been thinking about a summer trip to a national park, check availability now and book your campsite today, not next week, because spots are filling fast and the free entry is a real and confirmed benefit running until September 7th. A quick note as always, this is general information to help you understand what has changed, not personalized financial or legal advice. Your exact payment amounts and eligibility depend on your individual income, province, and filing history, so always confirm your specific situation directly with the CRA, Service Canada, or Service Ontario. If today's video helped you understand 4 things that are either putting money in your pocket right now or saving you from spending money, you don't have to spend this summer. Share it with one person today, not next week. Today, because Friday is 2 days away, and there's still time for someone who hasn't filed to take action. And subscribe, because this is exactly what this channel is for, the changes that land quietly, on a holiday, when most people aren't paying attention. I make sure you don't miss them. I'm David Harper. Happy Canada Day, and I'll see you in the next one. Next.